Another very significant point as supervisors is that we need to be able to recognize differences between staff supervision and staff development within a culturally diverse workforce. We need to be able to recognize these differences among staff supervision, staff development, and in-service training. And what are these differences when we work with diverse staff? And it becomes even more complicated as we begin to look at the diversity of this in our staff. All right, in looking at culturally competent models, one author, Lear Matthews, in 1996 discussed culturally competent models in human services in terms of two clusters, two main categories or clusters: variables and assessment tools concentrating on cultural awareness, sensitivity, and skills, and then structure, focusing on management and policies of the human organization. For example, the Federal Office of Program Management assesses agency effectiveness in implementing its diversity initiatives by examining these three key elements: valuing cultural diversity and other differences, fostering an environment in which people who are culturally diverse can work together cooperatively in achieving organizational goals. Okay, that's very, very important. The other point that they talk about is assessing the employee's unique developmental needs and providing opportunities that maximize employee capabilities and contribute to the achievement of the organizational goals. Developing leadership in others through coaching and mentoring is very important in working with your diverse staff. And as you do that, as they grow, as they move into different positions within the organization, they are, and you are, maximizing their achievements and their development within that organization, within the diversity that exists there, or would hopefully exist there. And then the last point they talk about is resolving conflicts in a positive and constructive manner. This includes promoting labor management partnerships, dealing effectively with employee relations matters, attending to morale and organizational climate issues, handling administrative and labor management and equal employment opportunity issues, and taking disciplinary actions when other means have not succeeded. Okay, so you need to be very sensitive to what's going on in your work environment with regard to these differences between staff supervision and staff development. Another important piece of this OPM document, which talks about building and maintaining a diverse, high-quality workforce, is that they talk about different tools that can be used within the agency. Tools that talk about positioning the agency, designing and implementing a diverse program, and sustaining commitment. In the first stage, as a supervisor, it is important that you understand these different stages, and as a starting point, it is important that you recognize the necessary that positioning the agency is a necessary step of commitment, assessing the current situation, conducting an environmental assessment, and workforce planning, okay, in terms of your diverse workforce. The second stage is designing and implementing a diversity program, building diverse and high-quality workforce through recruitment of qualified diverse candidates and maintaining that diversity and high-quality workforce through a supportive work environment, staff learning and development, rewards, and recognition. And again, when I think in terms of diversity, I'm not thinking in terms of race and ethnicity. I'm thinking in terms of race, ethnicity, gender, social status, age, all of those different kinds of dynamics. And I would include even sexual orientation. Sustaining commitment requires monitoring results, accountability, celebrating success, and continuing communication and development. These key elements are very, very important in a supervisor in-service and ongoing training in working with staff individually or on a group basis as you work with your diverse workforce. In one of the readings that I've asked you to look at, that was written by Martin Reichensmeyer, Mundell, and Gulen in 2007, they talked about how courts can become culturally competent, identifying a 7-step process and examples from 3 different counties, Maricopa County in Arizona, the Imperial County in California, Superior Courts, 2 different counties. And these steps that they have identified include building cultural competency teams, step 1. 2, identifying when, where, and how culture matters. Step 3, defining community context. What is the context of your community in terms of its culture, and assessing your court culture, and does that fit within the community context that you are serving, and assessing critical processes and programs and services, and are those in conjunction with your clients and the community that you're working with, developing, and then performance monitoring is another key element. And in this process, they in their article, I strongly suggest that you look at the different charts that they have, where they talk about levels of culture and traditional American courts characteristics, okay, and key values regarding respect, dignity, fairness, integrity, and so on, and the fundamental assumptions and beliefs with respect to time, casualty, illness, gender roles, authority, much of what we talked about a little bit earlier. And then what are these different cultural variations in the courts with respect to activity orientation, social relations orientation, and what are the implications of this for courts and the justice system? They give, in the end of their article, I think, some very, very clear-cut measures that would be very important for you as future supervisors or as a supervisor to be able to understand and look at in assessing your agency, your program, and working with your staff and the clients that you're serving. Task assignment, slide 9. How does your agency address cultural competence in the workforce? Take a moment and respond to this.